All right. We're live.
All right.
Yes, sir. I'm gonna throw your headphones on. You need that mic. You need that mic too.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
This one?
Yes, sir. That's it. That is it.
All right.
Check, check.
Hello.
Oh
Testing.
yeah.
1,
Yep.
2. Is that good?
Yep. You need to get a little closer to it.
A little closer?
Yep.
Okay.
You'll hear yourself.
And put these on.
Hey.
Hey.
Oh, there he is.
Ooh, you got the reverb and everything with me.
Oh yeah.
Wow. You were so cool. All right. Man, that sounds good, man.
Right. All right, everybody. Welcome to the Spread the Positive podcast. I am your host, Trent Denson. Got a super special guest with us in the building today, Mr. Blaine Little with Momentum Seminars Training and Coaching. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well, Trent. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. So we just did a little impromptu interview for the Pulse that you do every month, featuring Spread the Positive. So just felt like it should be a little return the favor on the fly. So pumped to get into your story, man. We talked about all things STP for a little bit, and we've crossed paths multiple times on the networking circuit around town. And I've heard you speak about a lot of different things, from just coaching, all the coaching stuff you provide, and public speaking, and a lot of stuff. So I'm excited to get into everything with you, man. Typically how I like to do it is taking it back to early passions, what your childhood was like, just kind of what got you here to current life, and then we'll go from there, man. So take us back to young Blaine and the greatness that came from it.
I love anything communication related.
Okay.
And that, I tell people that I help people with professional development and leadership, team building, better communication, and it all breaks down to communication.
That's it.
All of it.
Yep.
And I tell the execs that I work with that communication really is the foundation of leadership. And so that's just kind of where I am. I guess you could call me a communications expert.
Yeah.
Don't ask my wife if I'm a communications expert, but
shoemaker's kids, right? Something like that.
She may say otherwise. I don't know. Depends on whether I'm listening to her at the time or not. But years ago, and my father, first off, I hate to say I'm a motivational speaker.
Right. Okay.
No motivational speaker likes the term motivational speaker.
Why is that?
Because motivation is one of those things where you pump somebody up,
right,
and then they leave the motivational speaker leaves, and that's it.
Right.
So now someone's got to pump them up every day. And that's not me. So I'd much rather give someone a toolkit. Like, here's some things that will help you do what it is that you need to do, and impart that with them, and kind of, gives them some things that they can take.
Yep.
So I was talking earlier about this company I'm going to be at their managers meeting next week up in Gallatin. And it's probably about 20 total managers. And I'm going through my book pretty much for that, which was written for first-time managers. And in there, I'm going to share with them simple keys that they can take and teach to their assistant managers, because that's one thing that they're really grappling with right now, is how do we take what we have learned as management and teach it to our staff that's upcoming. So yeah, that's just kind of what I do. Years ago, so my dad always had me read these wonderful personal development books.
Yep.
And then, of course, I found Tony Robbins early, like I was in my 20s or something. He was probably still in his 20s himself, and got that book, Unlimited Power, and it just kind of changed my life. And I did not want to ever be Tony. I didn't want to be a motivational speaker, but it just kind of, the circumstances kind of, one thing led to another, and here I am. I guess I'm a motivational speaker, but I consider myself a corporate trainer more than anything else.
That's amazing. So that defining moment, that's what we always kind of, I always love those, just hearing those aha moments. And when people are like, that Tony Robbins guy, he's got some stuff figured out. So from Unlimited Power, take us through the process. What was it like?
Well, it was really sort of, I kind of, my life or God or the universe sort of funneled me to here, because now I look back and I'm like, wow, I've got like all the tools necessary to be able to do what it is that I need to be able to do now.
Right.
And that's wonderful. I went into the Army.
Okay.
And didn't know what I was going to do. I did get the GI Bill by the time I was done. And I think it was just the unit where I was. There were a lot of sergeants that just did not, they just weren't very good managers. They weren't good motivators themselves. They wouldn't communicate or take the time to kind of, teach what you need to do, except for on the demolition range. They slowed down there and like,
It's pretty
you
crucial.
really got to make sure that you do this right. But no, and I did. So there was about a year and a half period. I just had some horrible NCOs, sergeants. And then towards the end, I had some sergeants I just almost fell in love with. They were amazing. They were great. But I left there thinking, okay, business management is going to be my degree.
Okay.
When I go to college, because, I could do better than some of those guys. And so I did. I got that and did a few things in sales right after that. I was in personal finance, and then I got into real estate about 22 years ago.
Nice.
And early on, someone who was supposed to be kind of guiding me, I would go and ask questions, and this other person was sort of like belittle me for even asking the question.
I hate that.
And now, I'm broker licensed, decades in the business, and I look back and that person didn't know the answer. So, but I did go out and find me 3 wonderful mentors.
Nice.
So Rita Ryan, who's not here in Murfreesboro anymore, Dale Patterson, who's amazing.
Where's he? That name's super familiar.
He's part owners of Keller Williams.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Larry Ray, Gilliland.
Yes.
So
Larry's
those are
amazing.
3 people that I really learned from the most.
Those are 3 really good ones.
And I just absorbed as much as I could from them.
Nice.
And sort of got my own style. And so after a couple of years, I started saying, hey, I've learned a lot of things I wish I knew when I first got into real estate. And so wouldn't it be nice if I could teach this?
Yeah.
And so I started training.
Love it.
And I did that for about 10 years. And I've got about 8 or 9 state approved CE courses that I teach. I've got one next week, actually, working with Home Sellers 101.
There you go.
And a lot of people said, hey, you're pretty good at this training thing. Maybe you should do more than that.
Gotta love those.
So
love those nudges, right?
Yeah. Well, it was funneling me exactly where I needed to be. And I thought, well, maybe I should.
Yeah.
And back then I was probably about, 17 years ago, 15, 17 years ago, I was a little worried, like, am I jumping from career to career a little too much, which nowadays is just like,
the norm.
You'll have a career for 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
But I got boarded on with SkillPath, which is the largest training company on the planet. And I was with them for a few years. In 2017 alone, I did 88 all-day seminars just throughout the country. I loved it.
That's awesome.
Really, I call it boot training. Boot camp.
Yeah.
For trainers. And so I got to do that and started developing my own curriculum because I saw that there was maybe a few gaps here and there, or some things that I would throw in. And that's me. That's what I've been doing. So I do private coaching, but then I'll also do management meetings, conventions, conferences, and when COVID hit, I had to learn how to do a webinar. Some of you're very skilled at.
Yeah, for sure.
But I had to learn it.
Yeah.
But I did. But
just the virtual, doing what you normally do, just virtually, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Because this is all they see of me is 3x3, 4x4. And so you have to animate your gestures and your face a lot more to keep people engaged. Whereas I would not do that live.
Right.
Just to kind of diagnose it and see what you have to do. But now I'm getting a lot more in-person gigs.
Good to be back, right?
Sweet.
Yeah, good to be back. Yeah.
Yeah, because I love being able to see my entire audience rather than just itty bitty teeny little faces. Because if someone's having a light bulb moment. Then I can say like, okay, what's your perception of this?
Yeah, right.
And pull that out. And it's not just me.
That's great.
Imparting the knowledge, but people can hear from their peers too.
Right. Well, that's awesome, man. So how long's Momentum been? I mean, going out on your own, what was that like? I mean, was that?
Well, at first, and we talked about this
Yeah.
Before the show. I am a magician.
Right. Yeah.
So
performing. Have you always kind of been a performer? Do you remember being like that as a kid?
When I was a kid, as a teenager, I did. As a small kid, I did get a magic kit for Christmas.
Nice.
And then as a teenager, I took it back up again. And then one year for Christmas, they said, hey, I know what we're going to do. We're all just going to do some sort of an entertainment piece or something, like a little talent show.
Right.
I was like, yeah, okay, fine. I'll learn a few things. I mean, I've got like 20 nieces and nephews, so I've got to keep them entertained or else they'll turn on me at Christmas time.
That's fair.
So yeah, I did. And
that's cool.
There's actually a magic club here in Murfreesboro.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah. So I went to that just to check it out and ran into some buddies I knew. And I was like, oh, this is so cool. So I joined. And when in 07 and 08, when the real estate market just tanked, I took something that was a hobby and turned it into a vocation.
Nice.
And I do cocktail parties, benchmark anniversaries and birthdays, like, 50th year, 75, and fundraisers. And I've done a lot of kids parties too,
right?
But more the cocktail fundraiser sort of thing, and booth work at conventions.
Okay.
Because you look down one of these corridors, especially like at the convention center in Nashville, and it looks like you're looking like an eighth of a mile. It's not that long.
Yeah.
But there's just hundreds of booths. And so I will show up, and I'll have these big giant hoop rings or long ropes or something, and people can see down like, hey, is that a magician over there? And then they'll come check it out. And then I'll say, well, this is really magical, but what is really magical is Steve with XYZ company here, and just kind of pass it off to them. And it's marketing.
Yeah.
And it's fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Do you still do that?
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
That's just all
man of many trades.
That's cool, man. That's really cool.
Real estate, magic, and training.
Yeah.
So but actually they all sort of swirl together, at least in my world.
Yeah. No, I know how that can work, man. That's really cool. Sweet. Let's get into a couple of the STP go-to questions, because I'm curious to hear some of your perspectives on this. The tagline, bringing light to what's going right. So, stuff that's actually working, making a positive impact, all of that. What are some things in your world or your, circle, or your, I don't know, anything that you would consider going right?
Oh, wow.
Right.
Going right. Well, I think kind of a yin and yang sort of stuff. Things going right now because of the past 2 years.
There you go.
With COVID and kind of that as the backdrop. People are going back to work now.
Yep.
But they're getting back into the office, and it's like, who are you?
Right. Yeah. That's
and
true.
The other person's like, well, who are you?
Right.
And so their cubicle mates, a lot of people that they knew for years are gone.
Right.
A lot of them, and there's new faces, and so I enjoyed trying to be able to help with that, because it's almost like you're starting a brand new organization.
Yeah.
In some ways,
you're almost like a morale person.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. So I will teach people better communication skills, and just remind them that not everybody
communicates like that,
creates thoughts the way we do, and communicates exactly the same way. So those are some wonderful opportunities. I'm just pleased that people are getting back out. We've gotten into a funk in America.
Yeah.
And I know Tim Cook and Elon Musk and who was it? Schultz with Starbucks now.
Yeah.
They're all saying you have to get back into the office or else.
Right.
And it may sound like a negative, but you know what? We need that.
Yeah. 1000%. Yeah.
You need a kick in the butt every now and again.
And just, we're communal creatures, right? Like we need interaction. We need, just the collaborative aspect that comes from being in person. Working from home's great. There's definitely some positives there, but I'm with you. And it's good. I agree. It's just good to get back to, I hate the quote unquote normal word, but it's just more of a normal how we function as a society. It's crucial to be in the office, to a certain degree, and to be with each other and building together and solving problems together and all that. So
and there are people who are absolutely convinced that showering twice a week is good hygiene.
Yeah,
it is not.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
We need to get back into our routines.
Right.
We need to get back into our routines. So
I agree.
But yeah, you're right. We are communal people, and that's a fact that kind of hit me years ago. I was telling you before the show, we adopted a couple of kids.
Yeah, shall see.
And part of the requirement of that, and this is like 10, 12 years ago,
right,
was that we had to have some family counseling.
Okay.
And so the therapist came in, great guy.
Nice.
He came in and I'm like, okay, well, fix the kids. And he says, oh no, I'm going to fix you and your wife, and you're going to fix the kids.
Hey,
but out of that, I learned that, because I'm an only child.
Same.
Really? Okay. And both parents worked when I was really young. And so I was one of these kids that wore a little string around his neck with a key. And I would come in from first grade and unlock the door and just hang out for a couple hours until mom or dad got home. And the one rule was don't touch the stove. Okay.
Solid.
And so apparently that's called being a latchkey kid.
Yeah.
Which is like a negative. For me, it was childhood.
Yeah.
it was just me, but so I learned from that.
Yeah.
Because of that, I'm a lot more independent than
Right.
others. So it's forced me to kind of like, okay, maybe I need to slow down and help coax people along, and more of a team effort.
There you go. Yeah. I can totally relate to that. Yeah, for sure. Another go-to topic segment question is, just let's just go with the pandemic and just the way of the world these days. It's crazy. There's a lot of, just mental health, like the hottest topic ever, as it should be. With us at Spread the Positive, that's kind of the baseline for this whole thing. Like, let's acknowledge that we have our moments. Nobody's going to be spreading the positive 24/7. It's literally impossible. So just having those, what we call the tools in the toolbox, just to switch up a mindset, or if you're having a bad day, if you're having a moment, what are some of your go-to tools in the toolbox for switching that up and trying to get more on a positive or neutral?
I was on a webinar with about 100 people last week, and what I was talking about for them was, well, we did a number of things. We did talk about emotional intelligence, but the one thing I really kind of keyed in on was a positive self-talk.
Let's go.
Because we talk to ourselves.
Oh my gosh.
And for, that's different for everybody. Some people do hear an audible voice. It's kind of a background voice. Some people think or talk to themselves in pictures. Some others in just like sort of the experience at the time, but we do talk to ourselves.
Yeah.
Do you want it to be positive or do you want it to be negative? And
that is a choice, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah,
it is. And one other thing that we talked about before, if you think this podcast is good, you should have really cut it before the show. We talked about how being negative is many times just a catch defense mechanism for us, because we're trying to avoid the negative.
Yeah, sure.
But that's what we focus on is the negative, and that rules our life.
Yep.
So
what you focus on expands.
Exactly.
Boom.
Exactly. So if I'm a caveman and I've got my spear and I'm going out looking for dinner, am I going to have a saber-toothed tiger to eat for lunch, or is he going to eat me?
Yeah.
What's the deal? And so we think in terms of, where am I? Am I trapped somehow? What's an escape? What do I do if I have to get violent? Fight, flight, or fright. I say one of those three things are going to happen.
Yep.
And so we run this through our heads. And I think it's better, honestly, just to take a martial arts defense course and practice it physically and leave the mindset to the positive, and just be kind of ready for anything that does happen. But 90% of what you concentrate on really does need to be positive, because that's what's going to get you to where you go.
Right.
Because the negative is going to say, stop.
Yeah. That's it.
Stop.
That's it. I always, I forgot where I heard this, but I use it all the time. There's a spectrum, right? You got fear and doubt, love and acceptance, right? So if you're on this love and acceptance side, more times than not, like you said, it's going to be a more positive, just flowing, being more neutral, being in the moment, versus that fear and doubt, like that you said, is just like crippling and just stop it, or just make you doubt everything and doubt yourself, and that negative self-talk creeps in, and then, nothing good comes from it. So that's,
and 9 times out of 10, you've prepared yourself for something that's not going to happen.
1000%. Worries that other one, worry, fear, doubt. Yep, that's it.
Yep.
Man, that's cool. And you can tell, I love the fact that you have like these go-to things that can not only help in a business setting, but it helps just personally. I guess the personal leads into the business, and it's interchangeable at times, obviously, but
it is.
I think it's cool that you have some of those go-to, hey, maybe even put one on for yourself. You're like, hey, remember when I said this about, having a more positive self-talk? I would definitely do that. But
well,
cool.
I do a lot of business coaching, career coaching, one-on-one with people. And I've had to manage a lot of, talk through a lot of people who got promoted into management.
Yeah.
3 months later, they're like, I don't like management. What do I do? And kind of have to walk them through that. But
that's cool.
And I forgot the point I was going to make. But anyways, that's a pretty good one in and of itself.
Yeah. Very much so.
But how do you kind of backtrack out of that if you can? It's very dicey. It's very tricky.
For sure.
But just help them with the basics of some management ideas and how to avoid. And that kind of does bring me to my.
Let's go, man.
It's
away.
A shameless plug.
Plug away, man. Plug away.
Here it is.
I love it.
So my book, Avoiding Managerial Mistakes, Missteps, and Misunderstandings, the essential guide for all managers.
Love that.
And this covers, it's about 140 pages. I meant to write about 100, and I just kept going. And anything over 150, I don't think anyone's going to read. I won't.
Right.
A lot of people say they read Tolstoy. No, they didn't. But so it's 8 common mistakes that managers will make. And one is being too aloof, too distant from your team. And then to go the other way, it's being too friendly. And it is a balance there. I've got a good chapter in here. Well, they're all good chapters. But I have a chapter in here where I talk about micromanaging, and I describe it as training your team for failure.
Oh man, that's good.
Yeah,
I see where you're going there.
And because you're robbing your team of initiative by you having to be there and explain everything and looking over their shoulder. You're really kind of taking the power away from them, and you're taking it back to you. The problem is that you're teaching them to never take initiative, and they take a defeatist attitude like, well, why in the world should I ever try?
Right.
If he or she is just gonna do it this way anyway. And then you're stressing yourself out as the manager.
Yep.
So, so those are just some things that
how long has it been out?
It came out last year, so it's about a year and a half.
Okay. And
people will ask me, how long did it take me to write? It took me about 2 years plus a pandemic.
Okay. So, that's really funny.
So, I had this idea, and I just a few little blog posts and ideas and snippets. But really, when COVID hit, I was like, well,
here we go.
I don't have a convention to go do, so why not?
That's awesome. Did you self-publish, or what was that process like?
I did. And there's a buddy of mine who's with a large book distributor says that I need to do a little bit more work to be able to get this on the shelves in some bookstores. But I I had to order 40 more because I'm out.
Nice.
The first couple hundred that I had, I've sold most of these myself.
Nice.
But then I've sold some on Amazon, but I've sold most of them myself.
Yeah.
I should be promoting more on Amazon, but
that's cool, man.
But yeah, so
congratulations.
Thank
I
you.
mean, getting a book out regardless. Salute to you. That's a no easy feat.
I wish I could go back to Mrs. Martin, my senior English teacher, who gleefully gave me a D.
Wow.
I gleefully accepted, and say, "Hey,
I did it.
Have you written a book?" No, no. She was wonderful. She was really very good. No, she was. She was fantastic. She probably thought I was a subpar student, but you never know what the student is picking up in little bits and pieces here and there.
What's that whole thing? Never judge someone based on where they are, but where they could be or where they probably will be. Something like that. But
exactly.
That's awesome, man. Well, what's the other one? Is that another one?
Well, this one is this is a marketing prop. It's all cool. Blank. No, it's not blank. It was the first version. It's the individual team, how fairness wrecked the workplace.
Sounds intriguing.
Not politically correct at all. But there is an ebook version, but I'm writing a much longer. It'll probably be about 150 pages long, and that's going to come out next month.
Yeah.
And ask me next month when it's going to come out, and I'll say next month.
Yeah.
So we need to go back into COVID again. So I'll be forced to sit down and write. But this talks about and it really kind of comes out of this book.
Yeah.
One of the mistakes is treating everyone the same. And I said, ooh, that's a whole book in and of itself.
Wow.
So I've got 3 sections in there. What is a team? How do they develop? And then how to be a very good team player or make yourself essential.
Yeah. There you go.
One of those employees that people cannot do without. And then the 3rd section is how to be a good team leader or manager. And, there's so many business mantras right now that are just wrong, and I'll have managers will say, I know I'm a good manager because I treat everybody the same. I'm like, well, you're pissing off at least half your people.
Wow.
Because they want to be treated like an individual.
Okay.
Not everyone is driven by the same thing.
Gotcha.
And so one of the things I talk in here about is, are people more driven by pain and avoidance of pain or pleasure and moving toward it? And again, it goes to negative or positive.
Right.
And unfortunately, the majority of us are trying to avoid the pain. But you do have some freaks in the world like Tony Robbins who
right.
He's always thinking of the positive. And I wish I could be more like that.
Right.
But you can still use that to funnel where you want to go.
Right.
But if you treat everyone the same, you're not going to be motivating the majority of your people.
That's interesting. I've never thought of that. The way you said that, it's very, very on point. I like that a lot. I guess that's why you do what you do.
I wrote a book. Yeah.
Well, y'all be sure to check it out. I'll put some links when the podcast goes live for sure, and we can definitely push that out there and put that in some newsletters or whatever else on your end, man. There's some power to these links. So
good.
Wrapping up a couple of the just the questions we always wrap up with. When you think of spread the positive in your own life or someone that you grew up with or someone that just has had a very positive impact on your life, when you hear the phrase spread the positive, who lives it out and why do they come to mind for you?
I love it. And I think I'm going to try to not be political here. I think for the most part in our history as Americans, we have spread the positive because we have set an example for other countries that they emulate. They look at our Constitution when they want to write one themselves. And, right now, unfortunately, there are people who are just very down on America, and that saddens me. That really saddens me. I've been to China. I know what it's like in China. And it's it can be a horrific place. But yeah, America is a wonderful place, and we
America
should be proud
as a
of
whole.
her. Yeah,
I love that.
And we should be proud. I think, gosh, when is Flag Day? Is that next week? I think maybe
it's really soon. Yeah,
it's really soon. And Juneteenth. This will be the first Juneteenth. So I'm looking forward to that. And just anytime you can celebrate freedom, liberty,
community,
I just love it. And that's what America does.
Yeah.
That's what we do. That's who we are.
Right.
So when you think of spread the positive, man, I think of 50 states living freedom.
Wow. That's a really cool answer, man. That was awesome. That's definitely a first. I love that so much. All right. Something we call the grateful for, man. 4 things you're most grateful for right now. What you got?
4 things I am so, wow. Okay. Well, if I get stuck, can I come up with 2?
No.
Okay.
Count them out.
I'm thankful for you, Trent.
All right.
I'm thankful for you because I've talked to, are these just really brief?
No, okay. Do your thing, man. Go for it.
So I'm thankful for you.
Thank you.
Because I'm going to write an article about you. And
I'm grateful for
positive.
That.
And so
grateful for reciprocation there.
Yeah. And I will have hit everybody in this building.
Nice.
And so it means that I know everyone in this building.
Yep.
And so either, I don't know, am I hanging out with, am I hanging out with the right crowd?
Hey,
I am because of you.
Those prohibition guys.
The other guys I'm not so
cedar
sure about, but either. It's sort of like you got, devils on either side.
No,
so no. But yeah, my wife who puts up with me.
Yep.
She is just amazing.
Yep.
And my children, who are just wonderful. We adopted, and rarely would they run away. So that's good.
Doing something right.
And then man, we did hit the jackpot just being born in America.
Okay. Grateful for, man. Well executed. I love that. And I'm grateful. I definitely want to thank you for reaching out. And it's been this was overdue. So I'm pumped to finally gotten you on the STP pod. Definitely have some other opportunities within the network, so we can explore those options too. Locally on Murfreesboro comes to mind, and a couple of other shows definitely come to mind. But we'll make that happen for sure. But just want to say thank you for the spotlight on all things STP. Definitely appreciate that, and appreciate your time today, and appreciate future collabs, man. Anything we can put together, man. You got us. You got the network behind you, man. So just let me know what we can do, and we'll keep it moving.
Thank you for spreading the positive. We need more of it. Thank you.
Facts, man. All right. We'll see y'all next time.